Final topic for the day. Right now, there's this little thing going on called Summer Games Done Quick 2015. You might know it as SGDQ.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. So it's a speedrunning thing. And they've been doing this whole thing for charity for a couple years now. And it started out really small. Now it's this thing where the week it's going on, every major outlet's covering it and talking about it. Twitter is ablaze with all this stuff. My question:
why the fire department just rolled by?
Yeah, man, they're on the way.
Twitter's on fire. Go! Too many people are talking about games done quick.
It's so lit. With you guys, what are your thoughts on speed runs? And have you ever speed ran anything?
They're abominations.
My God, Greg.
Speedruns are cool. I've never had a mind for games that way. Like when you and I did the God of War stream where we went down there and the speedrunners came through. The guys who do games done quick came through and did the God of War games. I thought that when I think speedruns, I think, oh man, you're really good at a game when you go. And they're just breaking the shit out of games and glitching through walls and flying all over places they shouldn't even be able to fly. And it's like, damn, you know what I mean? Like it's one of those skills that is so crazy to think about the time and dedication put into that than to get to get down and get down and get down. Like that's insane to drive your time down that way.
It's interesting because I'm not a pro when it comes to this stuff, and I don't really know. I'm not the hugest fan of this, so there's a whole group of things that I just don't understand when it comes to speedruns because there's different types. There's the 100% runs, then there's the just finish the game, like get to the credits. Then there's no glitch, yes glitch, like all these different like parameters you can kind of put around it, and one game can be speedran 10 different ways, and there can be 10 different communities for that game within that because the people that glitch aren't the same guys that just do the 100% or just the credits and all that stuff.
Right.
And so we watched these God of War guys, and the way they were doing it was just total glitch. It's just get to the end as fast as possible, and you're not really playing the game. You were playing a completely different game at that point. I enjoy watching the ones that are actually just more like don't break the game, just play it normally.
Yeah.
And man, there's something really bad going on.
Kevin, just leave the window open. It's fine. People have the jig's up. Everybody, we live in a crack den. The police and fire department are outside.
We've been found. But I'm always interested in seeing games that I've beaten a ton of times to see how people play it differently than I do.
Yeah.
And I'm just not good at games that way. Like I could never play, but I love watching the YouTube videos. Like recently I just did a run of Crash Bandicoot 1. Definitely no speed involved. Just wanted to play through it. But the Crash Bandicoot speed run just happened a couple days ago, and I started watching. I'm like, good Lord. Like these guys are good. But then it's weird because if you saw them just play, they're not that good. They're good at doing one very specific thing. Like they know the route and they practice that route. And it's crazy. It's just fucking nuts. Do you have anything, Colin?
Yeah, I mean, I've always really been interested in speedrunning. It's the same thing I always say, like with the same admiration I show towards the fighting game community, I kind of show towards the speedrunning community because I think it's a great discipline when you kind of jump into a game and learn how to just fucking destroy it. That said, I it's not for me necessarily. There are games I think that I play very expertly. I think I play, Mega Man games and Castlevania games with like expertly. But I'm not necessarily trying to get through them the quickest way. What's more important to me when I'm playing a game is to play it like elegantly, and I think I play Mega Man really elegantly, and I think I play Castlevania elegantly. And but that to me, that definition means killing all the enemies, going fast but not being like hasty, not trying not to get hit when I can. It's sometimes you do, and you just keep going. It's not a huge deal, but especially some of the Mega Man games, like some of them I just get hit intentionally so I can keep going because that is more of an elegant way to play the game as opposed to just like bogging it down for a while. But I've never been super interested in it. I was on the world leaderboard for Mega Man 10. I might probably still am, actually. I beat that game very quickly. I obsessed over getting on because there was a leaderboard. I'm like, well, I'm going to have to do it now. But I'm not trying to like break the game or whatever. I have a lot, you guys were talking about your experience with the God of War stream. When I did the Bloodstained stream at Twitch, they brought in a bunch of speedrunners for various Metroidvania games. So we saw like even new games like Ori and the Blind Forest just getting fucking broken. And it's super interesting to watch the way that they play it so surgically and the way that they get mad at themselves when they don't hit a benchmark or a milestone or whatever, and they feel like they're behind or whatever, or the adulation, the excitement when they are beating their time. I sit down and watch these things when they're going on, sometimes just random games. And it's not something it's not the way I want to play a game. I consider myself a completionist. I want to do everything in a game. To get through these games, you do as little as possible, typically, unless you're doing 100% runs, which aren't as common, it seems like, in what I'm seeing, as opposed to just how fast can you beat the fucking game. So a great deal of respect for that community. That community is growing. That's one of the things I was talking to those guys about. It's like, how do you find each other? How do you identify games that you want to play? There's a lot of interesting questions. It's the same questions. There is a lot of overlap, I think, with the fighting community in terms of the questions you ask and the community, and how some of these people really latch onto these games for years and years, and records that are set 10 or 15 years ago or that seem like they're untouchable suddenly just get broken.
Yeah.
In very organic ways when people figure out games anew. If they do ROM dumps and kind of really study the shit out of them. One game, we were just talking about Kid Icarus in the last topic, and I watched a guy just break Kid Icarus. You know what I mean? I was like, Jesus, that's a fucking hard game, you know? And the way he was playing it and the little things they were doing to just cheat the system, I was like, this is really pretty remarkable stuff. So it's from a technical level, from a systems level, it's fun to watch. It's not for me. It's not something I'm really interested in doing. I'm more interested in, like, if I'm gonna claim I'm good at a game, it's because I think I play it in a very comprehensive and elegant way, which again is undefined, and I don't play all games that way at all.
Yeah,
most of the games I play, I don't play that way, but I think I'm a very competent gamer overall. But I feel like I'd be crushed by the pressure of sitting down and being like, well, I'm great at Mega Man 3, so let's just speedrun it and see what I can do, because I can't beat the game nearly as fast as these other guys can. But I can play it, you know. So it's all about speedrunning. To me is all about like the nth degree of not necessarily skill, which I think is what you're saying, but skill in a different way that no one, which is like, how do you break it? How do you cut and shave seconds, milliseconds, and how do they combine to make your time shorter? And one of the cool things when I was talking to those speedrunners that I had a lot of respect for at Twitch was like, what is the community like? For instance, if you learn how to break Ori and the Blind Forest, which is a new game in a different way, do you keep that to yourself?
So that was interesting with us with the God of War guys, is they were telling us that there's all these different separate communities within the speedrunning. So there's people that I think they're called like glitchers.
Yeah.
So there's people that they don't even speedrun themselves. They just like breaking the game and finding out all the different things you can do. And they'll come up with things and like name them, like whether after themselves or after something, and it'd be like the jury method or whatever it is, and then they'll give them to the speedrunners, and they'll like link these different methods and things together to kind of create their own thing. But then there is like secrets, and there is stuff that's like they don't tell people how they do it, but it's like obvious that they can because you can see them play the game. And what was also really cool is they'd be playing through the game and they have it so unlocked that they're just kind of like talking to us and like totally not caring. But there'd be certain parts where it's like, all right, guys, serious time.
Serious time.
It's serious time. And that's kind of like a well-known thing within the community where it's like, if it's serious time, everyone shuts the fuck up. Like, this is a challenging section that they need to get through. And it was awesome when things would just break down. Everyone would be like, oh, crap. So you knew that like this was like the stakes were high there.
Yeah.
And you'd watch, and then if you'd fail, it was such a big, the whole room would be like, oh, but if he made it, it was like, fuck yeah, you were the shit.
Yeah.
And like, that's cool. And you see it in all these awesome games done quick, or videos where the whole room is just like, the entire video is the most awkward thing in the world to watch because it's one guy playing a game, super serious. He's not talking. He's not doing like all the kind of funny, nimbly, bimbly, crazy shit where we're screaming and stuff. They're just sitting there playing, and there's a room full of people like this.
I like sometimes there's commentators.
And it's just like, they'll just sit there, you know?
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden something happens, they're all like, ah! And it's like, those are the cool moments.
Yeah.
And like, it's very exciting to see. I never had the mind to speedrun. I never really thought about it. I think the closest I ever came was in Tony Hawk 3 to unlock the characters and unlock all the like Darth Maul and all the crazy stuff. You'd have to beat the game with each character. So there's a lot of games, like fighting games are that way, and a lot of the arcadey stuff. So I did find myself trying to find ways to shave off time and beat the game as quick as possible. And I got it down that I could beat it. Not that this is like a crazy time, but like I remember being able to beat it in 50 minutes. So every day I was like, all right, I'm going to beat it with 3 more characters. I know how long that's going to take me. Yeah. And I would just kind of cycle it all through. But besides that, the only other challenges I've ever given myself like that would be Smash Bros. Melee, which wasn't a time thing. It was more like, I was like, I'm going to beat classic mode on very hard. And I did eventually, but I remember having to play like every night, like trying to finally do it. And Super Mario Bros. 1, which is the thing that we need. We need to do this. Me versus you, race to beat it. Because here's the thing.
Do you want to do it organically? We'll play all the stages.
Organically.
Yeah? So no warping?
Wait, hold on. No. We warp. We have to warp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's the thing is, it's like I feel like I'm pretty good at that game, just beating it. I'm not good at the game. I'm good at beating the game. There's a difference there.
I mean, I'm rusty at it.
I know
so,
you're better than me at Mario.
I'm rusty at it, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. I haven't played the original Mario in a while. But that is like muscle memory. I will say that I learned similar things that you guys were learning from talking to the speedrunners, that it seems like it's a very collaborative and friendly community.
Yeah.
And they were saying to me that, sometimes they'll figure out a secret and they won't tell anyone about it until it is inevitably revealed in a video. And then they're like, well, this is what I figured out to cut my time down. And then everyone emulates it. And I think it's cool. It seems like a very positive community, and I think that's really, really neat. It's not the way I play games. I'm more into the comprehensive kind of style of like platinuming game or doing like 100% of a game. I like doing that. I don't get involved in almost any game without the intention of doing that, and it doesn't always work out that way, or even usually work out that way. But that is always the intent. To do every side quest, to find every item, to find every heart piece, all those kinds of things. That's more the way I play, and that's the antithesis of speedrunning a game.
Mm-hmm. All right. As always, this last topic is going to be a bunch of random questions from the community. If you want to leave your topic, go to the Kinda Funny forums at kindafunny.com/forums. Our girl Lindsay over there.
See, wait, that confused you, right?
Yeah.
Because Greg does that all the time, and I don't know exactly if he's about. It seems like he's going to say something.
I was stressing the point you were making.
Oh, no,
but
I get
the
that.
problem is that I stressed the point while you were talking, so you looked up and it looked like I was about to
You
chime
look like
in.
you were about
but like
to say
you're going to go
something.
back and watch it, and I'm totally your wingman,
No, I'm for
your
sure.
hype man on
I
that.
That
appreciate
confuses
that.
me when you do that. It scares
Hype
me
as
sometimes
fuck.
too.
Everybody get used to it. I'm throwing new things in.
Our girl Lindsay over there on the
What up, Lindsay?
forums reorganized the whole thread, so it's really nice. There's a new system where people can once a month submit a question, so it's their question of the month. So it's not just same people all the time. And it's been really good. They've thought more about their questions. They put out nice, detailed questions, and I appreciate that. A couple of the topics from this show, like last topic, the Sean Finney Likes Hiking one, that was our first ever topic from the community that we used it as a full topic.
Okay.
Not just these little ones. So I like this. Shout out to you guys.
SF.
Dave Martinson, a.k.a. Martin Swagger.
Yeah, nice name.
With fewer developers using resources on this feature, is split screen dead? Does it really matter, or was split screen a product of the times? This is probably based off the whole Halo 5 not having.
I don't think split screen's dead. A lot of people still put split screen in the games and do things with it. But the problem is that as we demand prettier games with better frame rates and better graphics, that's when it gets to the point where, well, we can't split that and have it look good and do that. Also, how many people are actually using it?
Yeah, you can't rendering the game twice like that is very intensive. Could be very intensive. I mean, I personally think split screen should be dead. I don't see how in this robust world of online gaming where everyone wants to be interconnected, where like playing with your buddy on the couch is really as important as the online infrastructure of a game. So I think Halo is doing the world a service by getting rid of that stuff, because it's like, well, we're moving on now, and you're going to play with your buddies. You're just going to play on your own TVs, you know. Nothing wrong with that. Then you have a full screen and the full processing power of the system to run the game.
Technically, this is embargoed, but I won't say anything about the game. But you already said that me and Alfredo went and played Gears of War Ultimate Edition, right? And so, like, that's a game where I'd want to play side-by-side TVs and such. You know what I mean? There's split screen in it, sure.
And what's interesting about it is, and I remember thinking about this while I was watching you play, is the way that the screen was split is, it's still like him on top, you on bottom, but like there's like letterboxes on the sides.
Yeah, they did it where they didn't like crop and zoom and make it ugly.
Yeah, and
it's
interesting seeing the like evolution of split screen, because back in the day it was a 4x4 screen or 4x3 screen, so the crosshair square didn't really like change things too much. You just had 4 squares. Then once things moved over to widescreen, like I guess last gen was when it was fully a thing.
Sure.
Before then it was like a premium thing.
Right.
We kind of saw more of a split down the middle thing, where it would like Mario Kart, you see this, where before it was like top and bottom, then it kind of turned into left and right.
Yeah.
And now I liked what they were doing.
It robs you of real estate the other way. They talked about the fact that split it and zoom in, but then you lose what's happening. And they, like Borderlands splits it and zooms in, and it's fucking impossible to read like what's happening in your inventory on these pop-ups, right? So that was the thing. Christine and I were playing Borderlands, right? But we both wanted the best experience, so we just played on TV side by side. You know what I mean? Like, I like that. If I want that local co-op experience, I'd rather go that way. Worked great in Gears. Like me, Alfredo and I had a great time. Let's play at youtube.com/kindoffunnygames on Monday. But yeah, it's like, okay, if Alfredo and I were gonna play in the same house, I would just say, let's move 2 TVs in together.
But I mean, him asking if it's a sign of the times, I think it's a sign of the times in terms of what we can do. Because back in high school, I would have loved to be able to just be like, we'll just play it on separate TVs. That's cool.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case. When you're a little kid, you don't have access to all that stuff.
Giant, and they were also giant tube TVs.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it's a little bit different. But I remember when Counter-Strike came out on Xbox and there wasn't split screen, and I was like, what? Like, the hell?
Yeah,
That doesn't even make sense. And I was so pissed at that I'm like, no, I don't want to just play online. I want to play with you guys and like all this stuff. I don't want to have to buy 2 copies.
Sure.
That's the other thing. You need 2 copies if you're going to play in the same house. I think that's a bigger deal than the whole real estate or like different TVs.
Great point.
But I hope it never goes away. But I mean, that's
the sign of the
it's a
times is I
novelty.
just don't know how many people use it. You know what I mean? I don't even know, and I can't speak to what's happening with these goddamn kids anymore. Yeah. They're finished basements,
doing all their damn things. All right, Dan Phillips, season passes. How bad do they suck?
They don't. You're stupid.
I don't think they suck at all.
You're not stupid, Dan.
Yeah.
I don't think they suck. I mean, it is a wait and see approach. Mm-hmm. Wait and see what they announce for it, and then go from there. Like that's the thing for me. Like Witcher 3's out, right? Right, and I was saying when it came out, right? I bought the season pass because I was so blown away with the game as is that I'm gonna chip away at it for years probably. So yeah, even if I never touch the season pass, I want you to have that money so you know you did a good job. And same thing with Batman, right? Batman Arkham Knight comes out, everybody flips out that it's a $40 or $50 season pass or whatever it was, and then they're like, all right, here's what we're doing: Batgirl, a couple things, more villains. I'm like, done, sure. Again, your game's awesome. Take the money. I don't mind. You know what I mean? Like. The season pass is content I want to get to, but more than likely it's content I don't get to, but I want to tip my hat to the developers. I did the same thing with Borderlands 2. Borderlands 2, I bought that season pass because there was bonuses up front I wanted, and then there was going to be all these expansion packs down the line, and I never even touched them. But I like knowing that it's like Colin always talked about with cable. I like knowing it's there. I like knowing that I saved a buck or two on something I may or may not play. But it's also really, honestly, just that I love your game so much right now. Love it so much. That I want to give it to you.
Yeah.
Now I don't buy season passes if I don't know what's going to be in them, and I think, ooh, like WWE 2K had a season pass, right? I didn't like rush out to buy that. I was like, let's see what's this game.
It's your option to buy it or not. If you just want to buy one piece, wait and buy that one piece. But I like the idea, and you were kind of getting at this, that it makes you buy the stuff that you weren't necessarily gonna buy, but now you can play it because you have it. And I think for me, I wish that Smash Bros had a season pass. I know I'm gonna buy everything they put out for it.
Sure.
So to me, it sucks having to go in and buy it each time. Minor complaint, I know. But what does cause an issue for me is I don't need the Mii Fighter costumes. I'm not going to use them. I never use that character. That's not my thing. But I still want to have them because they're available. So it's like, that's the thing of now I'm questioning buying these little things I don't need. Whereas if it was a season pass, I'd be like, whatever. Cool,
for me, it's like what happens with our Patreon folks, or it's like people on Kickstarter when I back at a tier, not necessarily because I want that goodie or whatever, but because I want to support them at that tier, and then I get a whole bunch of stuff. I was like, oh, I didn't even know I was gonna get that. Whatever, that's cool. You know what I mean? Like I like supporting the games and developers I love, like Mario Golf World Tour. Right? They're like season pass. I was already like 50 hours in. I'm like, yep, thank you for this amazing game. You know what I mean? And then I love the courses and I love the characters.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't necessarily agree. Jim Sterling, when I interviewed him, brought up a good example about. And I don't know. We were talking about online passes. Actually, I think we're totally different. But we were saying like when something's introduced, it doesn't take long for it to be totally fucking bastardized. The Batman example is a fucking complete bastardization of the online pass. You have to have some fucking balls to charge people $40, $50 for an online pass, or for a season pass for DLC. And I don't even really care like what's in it. If you're justifying its price as being almost as much as a full game, then make a fucking full game. You know what I mean? At that point, but it's not going to be the full game. It's certainly not going to be the density of content that you would get in the $60 game that you just bought. That is now 70% the price of what you're paying for it again. In other words, to get the full Batman experience, you're going to pay $100. You know, like to me, I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, I think that's weird. I understand the money savings, and you can. No one's forcing you to buy this shit.
Yeah,
people clearly are buying them because they're continuing to be evolved and available for people as they exist. But I'm not so sure that. Listen, like, I mean, let me back up. I don't really agree with what Greg's saying because it's like you're not rewarding the developer, you're rewarding the publisher. You know, and. The developer is going to get some trickle down, but like if you're buying all this stuff for Witcher or whatever, like Witcher's a bad example. They're really kind of self-publishing that game. But if like Batman, for instance, it's not really going to Rocksteady. It's going to WB, you know, for content that they already paid for. And, you know, I'm sure that there's some sort of profit sharing model. It's just to me, I think that I understand why people are upset about this and why a lot of people don't like it because it's like WB came out with the Batman thing. It was like, oh, we're charging. How much was it? 50?
No, it's 40, I believe.
So $40, and no one even knew it was. Oh, our season pass $40. Everyone's like, "What, you fucking kidding me?" You know. And I think that that's a rational totally rational thing because at the end of the day, then your Batman Arkham Knight experience was $100.
Yeah.
$100.
This is something that we didn't get to in topic 2 of this show, where we were talking about the digital pricing and stuff. But originally, when you were telling me about it, that was going to be the point of the topic, which was, do you think we'll see a lot more $25 digital games, and also could we see $100 digital games? And like, because digital, you can kind of put whatever price you want. And I think in terms of this, it's like, the Batman thing, is Batman with all the stuff worth $100? That's the question, right?
Yeah, no, it's a great question because that's what I was talking about. We talked about it on Colin and Greg as well, where I'm like, people are excited about digital pricing because, and rightfully so, because it's going to make games cheaper because there's going to be fewer middlemen. So you don't have to pay GameStop and you have to pay the gas and the trucker and all this kind of shit in the factory. And that's
fucking trucker.
And so it's all those things that really need to be taken into account in the economic model of how we digest our retail games. And I'm like, okay, so that's great. I'm excited to see the return of the $30 and $40 game. I really want to see what that looks like. And I said, I'm like, I want to see what a $100 game looks like. Like, what is your game that it's going to be $100? What does that mean? And knowing what's in this Arkham Knight thing and having played almost to the very end of Arkham Knight, I have no desire to really beat it at this point. I don't know why.
Because that's how you are with AAA games.
It's generally. Is that a $100 game? I don't think so.
See, for me, it is, and that's why, like, I bought my Arkham Knight. I didn't get it for free. Like, WB couldn't get us codes in time, so I was like, oh, thanks, no big deal. And I bought the premium edition PlayStation, whatever, the $90 ahead of time one, which is all of it bundled together. And for sure, you're talking about how much could you charge a game without other stuff. The 50 hours I put into Batman Arkham Knight before the DLC, totally worth my $100.
Right, but you're putting. Not that I'm disputing the amount of time you put into the game, but most of that time was finding Riddler trophies and getting 3 stars on AR challenges. No, because there's no way you spend more than 15 or 20 hours at the most on that game. If you're just doing the missions,
it's 2 runs. It's 2 runs of the story.
Oh, a new game plus, so you're playing the game again. So. Yeah, so to me, it's like I'm not necessarily disputing the way you feel in terms of like that's your prerogative.
Well, sure. I mean, whatever you pay is what it's worth.
Sure, and that's exactly right because I was gonna say if they released a Mega Man 11 and it was an 8-bit game, I paid fucking $200 to get that game at this point. Like I don't even care. Just take whatever you want.
Yeah.
You know. So, but that game to a lot of people is $10. Even though that game back in the day was $60, $70 on NES, and that was in 1988, 1989 money. So again, we have to have some context. But yeah, I get why he feels this way, and I think that's a common theme. You know,
it definitely is.
I'm not mad at DLC. I'm not mad at fucking day one DLC. I've never been mad at that. I'm not mad at any of these things. I am mad at how much people might be paying for these things. Because, like, for instance, if you're paying for like a new set of missions that take an hour, and the game is 20 hours long, then doesn't that mean the piece of content theoretically is worth like $3? You know, but you're charging $9.99 or something like that for it. I get it. I get why people are upset about it. Totally. You know, and as I've gone on, I don't typically buy DLC. The last time I bought like all of the DLC for a game was like Fallout New Vegas. So that was 5 years ago. I'm not like really much of a DLC guy. But as I've thought about it and kind of changed my own opinions on these things, I'm like, yeah, I get it. I think that we're getting a little too bold.
Don't you think it's dialed it back though? I feel like we were bold in the beginning when it was, all right, you're getting a skin, you're getting like the dumb shit you didn't want, horse armor. You know what I mean? I feel like now more than ever there is an argument to be made that no, this stuff's worth the money. And I'm talking broad.
We'll see. Okay. That's why I like the idea of expansion packs.
Oh
right?
Yeah, expansion packs are great.
Like as opposed to DLC, but it seems like a lot of the DLC, which I can't play because I didn't pre-order the fucking game on Batman, which is another stupid,
there's
asinine thing
for sure.
Is like I've been hearing like you can get through this in like an hour, you know, like
Batgirl story.
Yeah, like it's like okay.
I mean, I still need to go back to get all the other stuff I need. I still need to pop balloons and get teeth and do all this other shit.
Sure, but it reminds me of my complaints with Infamous. What was it? No. Because First Light was awesome.
Second Son.
No. Infamous
Imps 2.
Festival of Blood.
Oh, thank you.
And Infamous Festival of Blood was an expansion pack, but it was like an hour and a half long. And I remember we had, I said to my reel, like, you can beat this in like 90 minutes. You know?
See, I love that though. I remember Ratchet and Clank, the Quest for Booty came out, and I was all about that. It's like this was like at the tail end of the Ratchet and Clank. I remember. Like, oh my god, you're doing way too much. Like, I get it. This is like, here's just a little more.
Yeah.
Here's enough that's not gonna be overdone.
We're tiding you over to the real game.
Yeah, and I enjoyed that.
I don't know. I was pissed about that with Festival of Blood because it was fun. It was the last time we ever saw Cole, but it was like 90 minutes long, and I'm like, this is.
I forgot how much was it.
I don't remember. It was like maybe $14.99 or something like that. I want to say.
I remember you and I had a fight about it, but I remember I disagreed with your review. That was my thing when we were talking about it. And we were going back and forth, and I mean that I would have gone higher on it. Like I loved that. I loved episodic, and I guess that's what I'm talking about too. When you're saying the money's going to the publisher, not the developer, that's fine for me. I want them to see how much I want this content. If they would have just kept making 90-minute coal missions or first lights or whatever, I'm like, yep, here you go.
Sure, and I want to be clear that there's probably deals where the money goes to both.
Oh,
there's
sure.
And when you buy a game, the money's going to the publisher too. So it's not necessarily that there's any sort of money being shared. Sometimes the games are paid for ahead of time. But I am just saying that, like, yeah, it's a strange. The way we've parsed out content is strange and unpredictable and inconsistent.
True.
And so I get really excited about something like what Bethesda did with Fallout, where they're like, especially Point Lookout on Fallout 3, which I think was fucking awesome. I thought Point Lookout was even arguably better than the regular game. Because it was a whole new map, and
that was the one where you got in
you
VR,
went to Maryland.
right? Yeah.
No, VR was Operation Anchorage.
Okay.
Point Lookout was the one where you went to Maryland and like the swamps. And it was like a whole new map. And I was like, this is fucking rad. This is like, I'd rather, instead of having this piecemeal bullshit, just give me something fucking new that's like a half step towards the next game.
And so that's even what The Witcher's really doing.
And that's
your
why I'm excited about it.
DLC is free, and then you're getting expansions with your season pass.
Exactly, and Dying Light's doing the same thing, and I think that's a more positive way, because at least you're getting some meat on the fucking bone.
Yeah, that makes
you know
sense.
What I mean?
Yeah,
and when I look at like WB stuff with Batman, we haven't seen it all, obviously. But when I'm reading about like, well, the Red Hood DLC, whatever, Batgirl, whatever the fuck it is, I don't even know what all of it is. Scarecrow. It's like it is nothing. You know, like, and people are paying good money for this stuff.
Sure.
So they better have way more. You know, or people are going to be pissed. And the thing that's important, I think, is we always say, speak with your wallet. It's an important thing to do, but also remember who treated you good and who treated you bad. There's a lot of that. That was what I was saying when, during the Mass Effect 3 kerfuffle, which, as we talked about with the Jim Sterling video, I definitely was ineloquent and wish I could have done that differently. But the one thing that I wanted to really tell people was, like, if you hated this so much, you better remember the next time EA tries to release a game that you want, because that's the only way to make them pay. And fucking as sure as shit, you're all going to buy Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yep.
So we also as consumers, I think, need to be more principled if we really find something that's fucked up. If we don't like the online pass, we don't like the DLC, we don't like the season pass, then you got to fucking hit them where it hurts. But we don't have the fortitude, I think, generally to do that. I don't. Sometimes I get mad about a game. I'm mad at Nintendo for not speaking to me. I'll give them fucking hand over fist money if the NX is something I want. It's it's just the way it is. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the Kind of Funny Gamescast. If you want your questions answered, go to kindoffunny.com/forums. Fill out a topic. Let us know what your questions are. We'll answer them on the show. Until next week, I love you all. I love your bodies. I love the things you do with them. I love your minds. I love those even more. Keep doing those things you're doing. I like that. I see that wink you're giving me through the computer right now. It's making me feel good. It's making me feel good in all the right places. Kevin, you can cut this whenever you want. Just letting you know that. But you don't need to. You don't need to at all.
We have a conference call right after this. Let it roll into that.